Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful drop shoulder cowl front tunic from a basic t-shirt. The pattern making for this is on my paid channel. You have 2 weeks free trial, go and watch it. If you don't fancy pattern drafting yourself from a basic t-shirt, then I will have this design very soon on my website, so you can buy the patterns and get going with just making the top the way you like it. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, here I have all the cut pieces, and this is the back. I've just folded like so you can see the full panel. This is where the yoke is going to be attached, and here is the sleeve. Sleeve is common just like your basic bodice, and this is your front, and this is the cowl effect that we're going to create in the front like so. Let's go ahead and see how to put this together. Just make sure the yoke pattern you have got 2 layers, because you need one to attach the main fabric and the other one to cover it. And also make sure that you've got the notch mark for the shoulder when we made it, just like how we made it in the pattern. Okay, so the first things first, we are going to attach. This is the main part of the yoke. So putting the right sides together. So this is the right side of the main fabric, right side of the yoke. We're just going to go and place it. Because my fabric's very stretchy, it kind of elongated a little bit. So I'm just trying to tap it. If I think it's going to be too much, I'm just going to make 2 tiny pleats in the center. So it kind of adds up a little feature at the center there. I'm not going to trim around the armhole. Okay, this is only because it's quite stretchy, and when we cut it, the fabric's going to be elongated. So from here to here, starting and finishing with the back stitch, we are going to go and sew. I'm using a very small zigzag stitch. That later on we're going to go and turn this. You can also sew with a normal straight stitch, because this won't be stretchy at all, even though it's a stretchy fabric. But if you wish, you could also do zigzag stitch. I think I'm going to go and do straight stitch. Okay, here we're going to go and sew a straight stitch, and I'm taking a 1/2 inch seam. I've also made a little tiny pleat because my fabric was coming a little excess. Okay, now we take the other yoke. And what we're going to do is just place it the right side facing down to the wrong side of the main fabric, and place it like so, and just go ahead and pin it. And once we've pinned it, from the opposite side you can see the stitching where it is. We're going to go and sew on top of the same stitch we've sewn before. You can actually do it all in one go if you can actually pin this together. Because this is the first time I'm showing you this type of technique, I've actually done 2 operations, but you can actually sew all at once. Okay, now that we have pinned this together, we're just going to go and sew on top. Because this part is not going to be stretched too much, and because of that, you actually don't need a stretch stitch. You can just do with a simple straight stitch. Okay, there is the panel that we have just sewn in, and if I just show it to you, that's where the back part is sandwiched, and we're going to go and place it like so. Now we're going to go and attach the front. Before we attach the front, here is the cowl part, and what we need to do is, because the top of the neckline is not finished, I need to go and fold it like so for about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and do a zigzag stitch. I'm going to go and do this off camera because it's only just fold and do a zigzag stitch all the way through, and then come back and show you what do we do next. Here is the front. I've just sewn in about 3/4 inch from there to there, and this is going to go and sit like that in the front cowl. And from the beginning of this to the little corner here, this is going to be all pleated out in the front like so. The end of this fabric is going to be aligned to the end of this yoke here, but when we come to the beginning, you got to leave about 1/2 inch because the neck's got to be finished as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over like so, and we're going to start off only on one layer, not both the layers. So we're going to start off at the corner like that, and we're going to finish about 1/2 inch away like so, and I'm going to pleat it, pin it on both the sides, and then show you. Here I have pinned both the sides, and I'm just going to turn this over and show you this is already looking the way we want it to look. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and stitch a 1/2 inch stitch on both the sides, and then we're going to come back and learn how to cover the rest of the neckline and this part as well. So let's go ahead and sew this. I'm going to do this off camera because when I come back I'm going to show you the rest of it. So I'm going to do this off camera and come back and continue. Okay, that's how it looks when we have attached the front. As you can see, we've just left a little bit here and a little bit here. So we're going to flip this over and keep it like so. And you can see this part is still open. Okay, now watch this carefully. We're going to try and put this towards one side because you're going to have a lot of fabric in between the small area that we have to turn now. So bring the right side like so and hold it, and we're going to close this bit here. Okay, and we're going to place some pins. I'm going to pin it properly in a minute. I'll just show you, and push this one in because we have to make sure that we sew properly. So I'm going to hold the pin there so this is well away from the stitch line. And now we're going to go and join the neckline and pin all the way through. And this is a very small area of the fabric. It will stretch, but don't worry, it will go back into place. So we're just going to go ahead and do that, and then also go and do this and just pin all the way through. I'm going to pin it and then show you what it looks like. That's how it looks, and it looks a bit complicated, but don't worry, just follow the process I'm showing and you'll be fine. Here's a little trick. If you find it very difficult that this is bulging out in the center, just open a little bit of the seam where you can see only one stitch on the top, because this side you can see 2 stitches and this side you can see only 1 stitch. That way the fabric will ease out a little bit, and then it will be a lot easier to sew here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over, and you see the stitch on top here where we have joined the yoke. We're going to sew from there to there, and then this corner we have to turn where the sandwiched fabric ends in this corner, and this is only trial and error. You just got to do a little and see if it works all right. If it doesn't, then you just got to go and sew a little bit more. So sew all the way through, and then we're just going to go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch all around the neckline, and again sew on top here. Let's go to the sewing machine and show you how to do this. So we're going to start off from the end here and sew on top of the stitch. We can already see I'm doing a plain stitch, I'm not doing a zigzag stitch. And now as we come to the end here, you can now actually feel it through your fingers where this is going to end, and you just got to make sure that you turn your corners right at that point. I'm just going to do a little back stitch so it's kind of secure at that end. And now we're going to come back to the edge. We don't need a 1/2 inch stitch, you just need a 1/4 inch now, because if you take 1/2 inch again you've got to give cut marks. So I'll just go to the edge to sew this line. This is the time you can actually push this fabric out so you have less bulk around this area. Also make sure you have a very small stitch. Now we're coming back to the end of the line here, so again you've got to widen the stitch so it comes and finishes at this point where we're going to turn the corner. Feel your way through. A little back stitch, and then we're going to turn the corners.
Okay, so we have sewn in the neckline. So now is the moment of truth. We're just going to push everything out. It's going to be a little bit tricky because you've got such a bulk of fabric. So take your time to do this. And you will see you've got a little opening here. So this one you can either close it by hand stitching, or we can even do a top stitch later on. Okay, so when you turn this out, and if you have sewn it right, then you should see that this should actually sit neatly. So we're going to go and give a little press around this area, because nothing works as a good press for any item of clothing. So there is your front cowl, drop cowl ready, and this one we're just going to go and see if we can do a little top stitch. I'm going to iron it first, and then I'm going to see whether I want to do a top stitch or not. You can also see there's a little bit of bulk here. I'm going to cut this out from the corner so we kind of lose that edge and this becomes quite neat. Okay, I've given it a good press and now it's looking a lot better, like so. And I've also managed to go back and sew the line by inverting the whole panel and then close that, because that, when it's hanging on the hanger, it just looks very neat and tidy. If you can't do it, just do a hand stitch or a top stitch, that's absolutely fine. And the next step is we're going to go and sew the side seam, just like normally how we would do any side seam. But the only difference is we're going to start from one joint to the other and try and match this hangy extension like so. And sometimes it might elongate a little bit more than you wish if your fabric is as stretchy as mine. So try and pin this, and we're going to go and sew a 1/2 inch stitch all the way through. I'm going to do this off camera because this is just a simple line with a curve. So I'm going to do both sides and then come back and show you the next step. Before I go ahead and do it, I just want to show you that whilst I was doing other preparation, I've also prepared the sleeve. The sleeve preparation is exactly how I've shown you in the normal t-shirt. First we have folded the sleeve hem and done a zigzag, and then we have sewn in the seam of the sleeve, which is like so. And I just wanted to show you one thing, because when you open this up and when you're wearing it, sometimes this seam here will peep through. So for that, what we need to do is just turn the corners like so, just like how I've shown you for the pockets in the bag tutorials earlier. Place it like so, and we're just going to do a little stitch here, so that way this is quite secure. And that's what I have done here, and you can see there's a little corner. When you wear it, you don't really see any of the seam at all. When you buy this in stores, all of this is neatly finished because they'll use a serger, and if you were to use a serger, you wouldn't have to worry about this at all. But if you're using a normal sewing machine, which most people do, these are the little tricks you have to follow to get that kind of store-bought look and a very neat professional finish. Okay, so I'm not going to show this, I've just explained this to you. So both my sleeves are ready. Now I'm going to go and do the side seams, and then we come back and show you the next step. So here we have the side seam sewn in. I've also attached one of the sleeve, and I'm going to show you how to attach the other sleeve. Basically it's exactly the same how you set your sleeves in with a basic t-shirt, but I'll just show you how to pin it, and then you can do this sewing. So there is your sleeve, and just turn this to the right side. And with this sleeve there's no right and left, because there's not so much of a difference between the front armhole and the back armhole. So we are going to place it like that. So from inside we're going to go and hold the two side seams, seam of the sleeve and the side seam of the body, and then place a pin. Okay, so now turn this over, and the sleeves you can see like so, and take the sleeve head. You should have made a notch. I haven't made a notch simply because mine's stretching like crazy, so I can just hold it in the center and match it to the notch of the yoke, and then place a pin. Okay, now I'm going to distribute the rest of the sleeve. If you have to stretch a little bit, because this line of armhole will be on the bias even if you're using a non-stretchy fabric, but this one is stretchy, so I'm just going to hold it like so and pin it all around. Okay, like so. So now you go and sew a zigzag stitch all around this armhole. I'm going to do it off camera, but let me show you when I go to the sewing machine. Let me show you how to finish the bottom, because sometimes if the fabric doesn't fray, then you can just leave the raw edges as it is. But with this one, I think it's going to fray, and also you see the seams here. So I would like to close it properly. So before you close it, we need to learn how to close the corners, because corners are where it gets really tricky. So basically hold it like that and kind of make sure the two lines of the fabric match, and you just go and pin this corner. Okay, and now we're just going to fold this over like that and just fold it over to 1/2 inch and then trim that little bit off. And now we're just going to go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch from there to there. I'm going to do it off camera and then come back and show you how I do that. Okay, so now we are going to, okay, this is the corner that I have sewn in from there to there, just a little straight stitch, and I have done exactly the same on the other corner as well. So I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side and place it like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to start pinning. I'm just going to show you one corner, and you do exactly the same to the other side as well. And now you can either open it or you can fold to one side. It really doesn't matter, like that. And now you will see there's a little wrinkle, but it doesn't matter. Just take this over a little bit to the corner like so. So you kind of have the mitered corner, and just place a couple of pins. So now what we're going to do, we do exactly the same to this corner as well. Mite the corners and just make sure that is like so, and you just go and sew a zigzag stitch on top of this hem exactly the same all the way around. That way, if you have any little extra allowance, you can trim this off later on. So this is quite simple. So I'm going to go and do this and then come back and show you the finished product. I've been sewing all around, and we're just going to turn the corners, and this is how you do it. When you come to the starting point, sew over a little extra and then finish. If you have any extra left over like here, then you're just going to go and trim this with a pair of scissors, and that will give you a neat finish. So there you have it. Your drop cowl front top is now ready. This is almost like a dress length, and I have given a good press around the bottom hem and the side seam. So now that's going to fall like so, and that's how you finish a drop cowl front tunic or dress. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, and do subscribe if you haven't subscribed. The pattern for this, as I said in the beginning, is in the pattern for this tutorial. You can learn how to convert a basic t-shirt into this drop cowl through my paid channel, and I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching.